is, did the Cowboys miss their opportunity to sign Dak Prescott to a longer contract?
I'll say they did, but I understand why they didn't sign him. I've spoken on this numerous times. Obviously, to John, he knows a good amount of my take as far as what I think about Prescott. The problem with Dak is, and why the Cowboys didn't sign him. For everybody who's going to be watching this show, know that the Cowboys don't trust Dak long term. Now, that doesn't mean that he doesn't deserve the contract that he was supposed to get. Dak bet on himself. Went over, threw for 4,000 yards last year, had 30 touchdowns. He became a much better thrower of the football after that's what the Cowboys wanted him to do. But the problem is, when you look at the scope of his career in Dallas, what has Dak done on his own? And the Cowboys also look at the Philadelphia Eagles. They look at the Los Angeles Rams, and they see the Eagles put $30 million into a quarterback that is not healthy. Carson Wentz had the audacity to finally get to a playoff game and then got a concussion in the third quarter. Jared Goff, and I say this once, I say it again, thank God for Sean McVay. Had it not been for this man, where would he be at? Where would he be at? I mean, let's really be honest with it. Jeff Fisher, there's a little truth in when Jeff Fisher was the coach of the Rams. We saw a little bit of what Jared Goff is. Now, again, the system works for Goff, so he gets his $30 million, and he did pay that off by leading them to a Super Bowl. So that counts for something. But when we look at what Dak Prescott, right. But I said this. Only 2 games where I can say Dak Prescott did on his own. The Seattle game in which Zeke still ran for over 100 yards in the playoffs, and then the Arizona game where he had to do a front flip and almost broke his neck just to win that game. But Dak Prescott, though he has all the intangibles, the whole locker room revolves around him and all of this good stuff, which is all well and fine. But the issue is that he hasn't shown that when it's all on me to do it, he can't do it yet. And they don't want to invest long term in that until, especially with this new coaching staff with Mike McCarthy, if he proves this year, hey, I can take this team to an NFC championship, they'll give him his money. Jerry Jones has no problems opening the pocketbook.
Oh my goodness. You ready? You ready? I got some. You want me to tell you why all of your argument really don't mean that much? Because what's the alternative?
You go get another quarterback. That's
who?
You go draft one. But
you're gonna draft one? The last 20 years of quarterbacks y'all have drafted, picked, or traded for have won how many playoff games? The same amount as Dak Prescott. Play with me. Play with me. That man needs to get paid because he's done more in 3 years than the last 20 years of quarterbacks that y'all have had. Period. How many
still one playoff game, though, Anthony? It's still one playoff game.
What? So that means 2 in the last 23 years? This man has won one and almost won another one. And got played out another one. If all of what you guys say was correct when that game happened, because I'm not even a Cowboys fan, I think you lost. But from what y'all said, he should have won that other game. So that's 2 games that he should have under his belt. You're going to talk about everything that comes with these other quarterbacks. Sean McVay is not a comparison to who? Jason Garrett. What would Dak look like with Sean McVay? What would Dak look like with Mike McCarthy? You got to pay for that. So now you're going to put this man on the tag. He's going to play the rest of this year in fear, not only of injury, but of failure. When you could have paid him 2 years ago when he was ready to get paid. Y'all could have paid him 2 years ago when it was small. Y'all didn't want to do it. He started playing better. Now it's a situation where you never let a player go to the end of their contract. Players only get really overpaid when they make it to the end of their contract, because then they're 100% free. They can take whatever they want. So of course he gonna want premium. You didn't pay him. Jared Goff and Carson Wentz got paid with how many years left on their deal?
2.
How many years is left on Dak Prescott deal?
None now. 1.
Premium. I need premium. Y'all played me. Why didn't we have this conversation 2 years ago? I bet you Dak would have took 31 2 years ago. So now it's a situation, I need 39. I need 38. And if I play good again, if we go 13-3 or 12-4, now it's 42.
I'm going to go ahead and jump in here. First, Anthony, you said that he's going to play scared and fearless this year. making $31 million, but he made $2 million last year in the last year of his deal. So I don't think he's going to feel scared making 31 this year. My second point is I don't think that the Cowboys mishandled the situation. You're getting Dak Prescott for $31 million this year. If you franchise him again next year, you're getting him for $37 million. That's a total of $68 million. That's what you would have paid him anyway on a contract deal, but less money because you don't have to give him the signing bonus and everything. I think it's a good situation for the Cowboys and for Dak Prescott. It gives Dak Prescott another year to prove to be the quarterback that he really is. Yes, we saw the numbers last year. He had 4,900 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions, but the team also went 8-8, and Dak Prescott was 0-6 against playoff teams. He only had 8 touchdowns and 8 interceptions in those games. If you look at the Saints game, if you look at a lot of those games, besides the Vikings games, he really left a lot of plays on the field. He left a lot to be desired. You go back to that Patriots game, the offense couldn't move the ball. You go back to the Eagles game, which really was the make or break. And I mean, he was horrible in that game, given he was injured, but he missed a lot of.
He was also injured.
I said that, but if you're on the field, you know you got to make plays. It's for the division, So and he missed a lot of throws in that game, and he left a lot to be desired. So I think for the Cowboys standpoint, from Dak's standpoint, obviously you're making $31 million guaranteed dollars this year. You have the ability to make 37 next year. From the Cowboys, you're paying your quarterback $31 million. You'll pay him $37 million next year. And then if he makes that next step, if he takes you to a Super Bowl or NFC Championship game, you can still sign him for a long-term contract and end up paying him what you would have paid him anyway if he signed that 4-year deal. He was going to hit the market again. Yes, you will. And let me talk, please. You're going to hit so he would have taken the 4-year deal, right? And he would have made about 35 up until – and the contract wouldn't have finished. So they probably would have re-upped him in, 2022, 2023. At that point, Patrick Mahomes already has his 45. Deshaun would have been paid. Lamar would have been paid. So you would have paid him 40+. So if he balls out on these 2 franchise tags, you're going to pay him 40+ anyway. You would have paid him 40+. The only thing now is you're probably paying him 40+ a year earlier if he does ball out. But you're comfortable doing that if he balls out these 2 years on the franchise tag and the Cowboys take that next step. That's why I don't think that the Dallas Cowboys really made a mistake, because they still have Dak Prescott under their control for the next 2 years at the number they would have paid him anyway. And if he does take that next step, you can pay him like the going rate for a franchise quarterback, which is $40 million. If he doesn't, you still have a loaded young roster. Your Super Bowl window is still open. Is it going to be as easy as Tony is saying to find a quarterback? No, but you do know that the quarterback is the only missing piece. And you can get a quarterback in on a rookie contract or a smaller contract than the $40 million Dak Prescott will be making. And you have the ability to keep a surplus of talent around whoever that quarterback is, even if it's a quarterback like Dak Prescott that needs a lot around him. So that's why I don't think that the Cowboys made a bad move, because I feel like they're essentially in the position that they would have been if they signed Dak to a long-term deal.
Well, John, I got one question for you.
Okay.
If he balls out this year, goes crazy, let's say they do, maybe not, let's say they win one playoff game and they're a game before the NFC Championship, but because it's an extra playoff game now, so unless they get the number 1, they're going to have to do 3 games. So Let's say they win the first playoff game, lose the second, but it's close. He plays great. They don't make it to the NFC Championship game. They don't give him a contract. They expect him to play on the second franchise tag, and he doesn't. What if he holds out?
So you're saying if they franchise him next year and
again, if he balls out this year and they franchise him again, because your argument was 2 franchise tags, which makes sense if he's willing to play good and sit and not get paid on 2 whole franchise tags.
Yes, but I'm saying they have the ability to franchise tag him twice. I'm not saying that it will happen, because if what you say happens and they get almost to the NFC Championship game, or they see because like Tony talked about, they're confident in Dak Prescott. They like Dak Prescott, but I don't know if they want to be tied to him for 4 or 5 years. They did offer him the contract, but I don't think that they really necessarily, I think they want to take the wait and see approach. If he balls out the way that you said he does this year, then they're going to hit the negotiation tables again next year. The Cowboys want Dak Prescott, and Dak Prescott wants the Cowboys. So, I mean, we can't assume that he'll be on the franchise tag again next year. I think the franchise tag is more reserved for if he has a decent year and Dak Prescott is still your best option at quarterback.
Anthony, that's not to say that the Cowboys didn't make a mistake on not signing him. They made mistakes, but what I will say is they've done better when trying to sign these guys early before their contracts are up. The problem is Dak Prescott is the quarterback. If you front load him a lot of money, you can't go get other guys later on down the line. Dak Prescott isn't going to be the guy who is the Cowboys quarterback who's going to take less money for something. And because they know that you can't just be like, oh, well, that's just going to be the case. Listen here, before you go, we got to end this argument here because we're about to run out on time on this Zoom. So you're going to have to go ahead and end this segment.
Well, you guys are very long-winded tonight. Just kidding. But thank you all for joining us today. Like I said, this is My Point Exactly. I am Sequoia Hood. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, John. Thank you for watching, guys. Please like, subscribe, comment on the bottom of this video. Follow us at Spot On Sports. And we are out. Thanks.